Let's continue our discussion. So, the first female internal genital organ that we are going to discuss is the ovary. So, the ovary is oval shaped, measuring 1.5 to 0.75 inches or 4 by 2 centimeters. It attaches to the back of the broad ligament by the mesovarium, and it has two other ligaments. We have the suspensory ligament of the ovary, which is also a part of the broad ligament, extending between the attachment of the mesovarium and the lateral wall of the pelvis. And another ligament is the round ligament of the ovary. So it represents the remains of the upper part of the gubernaculum that connects the lateral margin of the uterus to the ovary. So the ovary there is one ovary on each side of the pelvis. So one on the right and one on the left. So some other parts of our ovaries are first the tunica albuginea. So this tunica albuginea is a thin fibrous capsule that surrounds the ovaries. So if, as you can see here on the picture on the right side of the slide, this is the green area. So this one is your tunica albuginea. Next is the germinal epithelium. So it is a modified area of peritoneum it is a modified area of peritoneum that covers the tunica albuginea externally. So the term germinal epithelium is a misnomer because the layer does not give rise to ova. Next, before puberty, the ovaries are smooth. After puberty, it becomes progressively scarred as successive corpora lutea degenerate. This one, corpora lutea. Next, we have the after menopause, it becomes shrunken and its surface is pitted with scars. Now, the function of the ovaries are they are responsible for the production of the female germ cells, the ova, and the female sex hormones estrogen and progesterone in the sexually mature female. Next organ is the uterine tube or the fallopian tube. So its length reaches about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. It lies in the upper border of the broad ligament. So these are your uterine tube or the fallopian tubes. And it connects the peritoneal cavity in the region of the ovary with the cavity of the uterus. So the function of our uterine tube receives the ovum from the ovary. If there is ovum here, it will receive the ovum and provides a site where fertilization of the ovum can take place, which is usually in the ampulla. It provides nourishment for the fertilized ovum and transports it to the cavity of the uterus. The tube serves as a conduit along which the spermatozoa travel to reach the ovum. Aside from that, we have here the four parts or divisions of our fallopian tube or uterine tube. The first one is the infundibulum. So this infundibulum, this right here, is a funnel-shaped lateral end that projects beyond the broad ligament and overlies the ovary. So there is a what we call fimbriae or fimbriae, which are free edge of the funnel that has several finger-like processes, and these finger-like processes are our fimbriae. They are actually draped over the ovary. Next we have is the ampulla. So the ampulla right here is the widest part of the uterine tube, and next, we have the isthmus. The isthmus is the narrowest part of the tube and lies just lateral to the uterus. And lastly, we have the intramural. So the intramural part is the segment that pierces the uterine wall. So this is your uterine wall. So it is actually, again, the part that pierces your uterine wall. So that's your intramural. We have infundibulum, the ampulla, the isthmus, and then the intramural. So the function of our uterine tube again receives the ovum from the ovary and provides a site where fertilization of the ovum can take place, also a conduit along which the spermatozoa travel to reach the ovum. Next organ is the uterus. So the uterus is a hollow pear-shaped organ with thick muscular walls. In a young nulliparous adult, it is 3 inches or 8 centimeters long and 2 inches or 5 centimeters wide and 1 inch thick. It has its own parts also. We have the fundus that lies above this area, the entrance of the uterine tubes, next the body, that lies below the entrance of the uterine tubes and the cervix. So this area is your cervix. It is a low, narrow, and pierces the anterior wall of the vagina and is divided into the supravaginal and vaginal parts of the cervix. So the cavity of the uterine body is triangular in coronal section, but it is merely a cleft in the sagittal plane. The cavity of the cervix, the cervical canal, communicates with the cavity of the body through the internal OS and with that of the vagina through the external OS. Next is the vagina. So it is a muscular tube that extends upward and backward from the vulva to the uterus. So its length reaches about 3 inches or 8 centimeters, and the upper half of the vagina lies above the pelvic floor. However, its lower half lies within the perineum. The area of the vaginal lumen that surrounds the cervix is divided into four arch-like regions or fornices, and these are the anterior, posterior, right lateral, and then the left lateral. Take note that the anterior and posterior walls of the vagina are normally in apposition. The cervix pierces the upper anterior wall of the vagina and projects downward and backward into the upper vagina. The vagina is not only the vagina not only is a female genital canal, but it also serves as the excretory duct for the menstrual flow and forms part of the birth canal. Take note of that. So the vagina also has an orifice, or the vaginal orifice in a virgin possesses a thin mucosal fold called the hymen, which is perforated at its center. So after childbirth, the hymen usually consists only of tines. So this ends our discussion for pelvis 2, and we are going to proceed with the perineum next module. Thank you for listening and stay safe.